guys, welcome back to Sharp Books. Today I'm going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So I actually did this tag last year around the same time. I believe it was actually one of the first tags that I did after I started my channel last summer, but I kind of felt like it was one of those tags that would be really nice to do once a year because it does kind of talk about the books that you've read during that year, so obviously your answers are going to change. I completely forgot to look up the original creator, but I will be sure to tag the original creator down below so you can go check out their video. I also wanted to mention that in the next couple of weeks, the setting kind of behind me is gonna kind of be all over the place. I think I've mentioned before, but I'm moving in a couple of weeks, so the packing has begun, and all the books have to get packed, and you know, the shelves have to get packed and all that stuff. So things are a little bit chaotic, but I'm gonna do my very best to at least get one video a week out still, because it's still what I really love to do. But it might mean that there's a lot of my books packed, so I may not be able to kind of have too many of them in the video, so just kind of hang with me for a couple of weeks and then things will be back to a little bit more normal. So the first question of the tag is, what is the best book you've read this year? That is such a tough question, but I think when I think about which book really stuck with me and that I've been kind of giving to everyone around me and saying you need to read this, it's Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton. I can't remember when this actually came out, but I know I read it around January or February, so it was definitely what I read this year, and I loved this story so much. I have a full review on it, so if you want to hear more, you can go check that one out. But I've been giving this book to so many people and just like making them read it because I enjoyed it so much, and I love Chanel Clayton's writing. I love the characters. It's very emotional. I love the history, and I can't say enough good things about this book. And when I think about which one really stuck with me, it was this one. So question 2 is, what is the best sequel that you've read this year? And I haven't read too many like traditional sequels because I haven't been reading too many series, but I have read a lot of kind of like in the romance genre. A lot of the books are kind of related, but they're not in it. It is a series, but it's not like a plot line driven series. It's more of like a character driven series. But I did read Shadow of Night, which is book 2 in the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness, and I really enjoyed that series. I know a lot of people have some mixed feelings on it, but I really enjoyed it, and I really liked Shadow of Night a lot, so I'm gonna go with that one. And then also I read the Stage Dive series this year. I read the first 3 books and I really enjoyed those. That's one of those where each book's about like a different couple, but I thought those were fantastic contemporary romances, so I'm gonna go with those. Question 3 is, what is a new release that you want to read but haven't read yet? And there are a lot for this because I typically don't pick up new releases as soon as they're released because I honestly, for being honest, just don't want to pay full price a lot of times for a hardback. So I'll usually try to check my library, or I'll kind of wait for paperback, or to kind of just maybe get it on sale or something. But the 2 that come to mind that I really want to get to soon are A Court of Frost and Starlight. I love the Court and Thorns and Roses series, and I really want to read that novella. And then also The Broken Girls, which I cannot remember the name of, but it's a mystery thriller type book, but I know it has historical kind of setting as well. That one just sounds really great. It's kind of something different for me. I don't read that many thrillers, but that one just sounds great, and everyone's been saying that The Broken Girls is a fantastic book, so I kind of hope I can get my hands on that one soon. So question 4 is, what is the most anticipated read for the second half of the year? So I've kind of picked 2 for this. One is The Wicked and the Wallflower, which is the new release from Sarah MacLean. I believe it comes out in like a week or 2. It's very quickly, and I probably will pick up that one pretty soon after it's released. First of all, I really want to read it, and second of all, the mass market paperbacks are a lot more reasonable because they're only about like $7.99 a piece, so I think that's a little more reasonable. And the second book I cannot wait for is The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. That one is coming out, I believe it's in August, and I can't wait for that one. Question number 5 is, what was your biggest disappointment this year? I haven't had too many books that I've truly been disappointed in. I think I've said before, I've just gotten much better at picking up books that I will truly like, and I've gotten better at kind of pinpointing my likes and dislikes in books. But one that I just recently read, which you'll hear me talk about a little bit more in my June wrap-up, is It's in His Kiss by Julia Quinn. This is book 6, I believe, in the Bridgertons. It's almost the end. There's one more after this, and you guys know I love Julia Quinn. I love the Bridgertons, but this one just fell flat for me. I finished this one a couple of weeks or like a week ago, I guess, and it was Hyacinth's book, which I love the character of Hyacinth, and when I read the synopsis, it sounded like it would be great, and it wasn't that it was bad. I still gave it like 3.5 stars, but like when the rest of them are 5 and 4 stars, it just kind of fell flat for me, and I was a little disappointed because, you know, we're reaching the end of the series and I'm kind of sad to see it go, and I don't want it to kind of go out on like a sour note. So I'm hoping that the last book might make up for this, but it wasn't bad. It just wasn't, to me, as good as the first like 5 in the series. Number 6 is what was the biggest surprise this year, and I kind of picked 2 for this one. Number 1 is The Ones Who Got Away by Ronnie Lauren. You guys have heard me talk about that book a couple of times. I don't know, that one when I knew nothing about the author. I just kind of read the synopsis and I loved the cover, if we're being honest. I don't have it with me because it's in a box, but I just love that book, and I feel like it was a bit of a surprise because it was about a tougher subject matter. You know, it covers kind of the aftermath of a school shooting, as well as romance, and I don't know if I would have normally picked that up, but something about it just kind of was like, I don't know, speaking to me. So I picked it up and I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic, and that was probably another one of my favorite books this year. I almost picked that one for the favorite book, so definitely a wonderful surprise. And another one was the Molly Murphy series by Rhys Bowen. So that was the historical mystery series. I've only read the first 2 books in the series so far, so obviously I kind of need to dive more into the series because there's a lot of books. I think there's like 10 or 12 books or something, but that was just a really refreshing surprise because I was excited to find a mystery series that I really liked and kind of really wanted to delve more into. Question 7 is, what is your favorite new author? So this could be like new to you or just a new author in general. There's a lot I've read. When I looked back through my Goodreads, there were so many authors that I read for the first time this year, and it kind of doesn't seem like it because I've already read, you know, a few books by them. But one would be a recent one, which is Lenora Bell. She's historical romance, and I just really loved her characters. And on the same kind of vein is Kerrigan, I think it's Byrne, and she wrote the, oh gosh, I don't remember what the name of the series is, but the first one was The Highwaymen, and I love those 2 authors. In a way, they're very different writers to me because Lenora Bell's, while has very, very strong characters, it's a bit lighter, you know, a bit more kind of fun, whereas Kerrigan Byrne's series and characters seem to be a little bit darker and grittier, but I just found them both really refreshing and really different, and so those are probably 2 of my favorites this year, as well as Sally Thorne, because I read The Hating Game this year and really, really loved it. Speaking of, question number 8 is, who is your newest fictional crush? This is so hard to pick one, but I kind of just picked the one that popped in my head first. And speaking of Sally Thorne, I'd say maybe Joshua Templeman, I think that's his name, right, from The Hating Game. He was just so charming, and I don't know if it's because I listened to it on audiobook, but I'm telling you, that guy was charming, and he just won me over, and he kind of has stuck with me. You know, sometimes you read a lot of books and a lot of romances, and the characters can kind of blur, and he's kind of stayed at the forefront. I know there are others, but I'm trying to think if there's another, like, really big fictional crush, but I think for me, he's probably the one that stuck with me the most. Question 9 is, a book that made you cry. Okay, so I am someone who tends to kind of cry, like as far as like just a tear here and there in quite a few books. Anything that's like emotional, happy or sad, I'm usually crying. So it's not that out of the ordinary for me, but I would say one that had me like weeping was Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton. If you've read that book, you know it's a very emotionally heavy book, and some of the emotions are just joy and some of the emotions are just deep sadness. And I remember I stayed up till like 2 a.m. or 3. It was like really late finishing the book because I couldn't stop it, and I was just crying and crying, and that one was one that just pushed me over the edge. Question 10 is, a book that made you happy. I like to think a lot of books I read make me happy because that's why I picked them. I'm definitely a person who likes reading books for joy, and while I also can appreciate learning something from a book or a character, for me it's a hobby, and I always tend to pick characters that and plotlines that make me happy. But one that particularly sticks out was a recent read. It was Sleepless in Manhattan. You'll also hear me talk about this one a little bit more in my June wrap-up, by Sarah Morgan. It's the first in her, I think it's called In Manhattan with Love or something like that series. I buddy read this one with Bree from Bree Hill. So she and I read this together, and I loved this book. It was so, so wonderful. It was full of joy and happiness, but also struggles, and I really liked how real the characters were, and I just felt like I was grinning like a fool the whole time I was reading this. The setting was great in New York, and if you're looking for like a bit of a pick-me-up, definitely look at this series. I cannot wait to read the next one. Question 11 is favorite book to film or TV adaptation. I don't think I've watched any. I do think I watched some of the Shadowhunters TV show, the newest season. I watched some of that, so I guess we could say that, but I don't think I've watched that many this year. I've really kind of not been watching as much TV and movies lately, just because I kind of was reading more, listening to audiobooks, but I don't know. If you have any really good ones that came out this year, let me know. 12 is favorite review or video that you've done this year. I was thinking about this, and I think my favorite videos to kind of put together and kind of put out for you guys are my recommendations video in general, but I really like doing the historical romance recommendations videos. I've done, I think it's 2 so far, and they're just a lot of fun. I like looking through what I've read and kind of picking out the ones I hope you guys will like. I also like it because, as I've said before, not as many people, I think, read historical romance or kind of know where to start with it. And I am not a specialist, but, you know, if I can recommend some suggestions, I love that. I love that a lot of you guys have said that those are your favorite videos and that you get some like inspiration from them. So I also like doing the other recommendations videos, but in particular the historical romance are my favorite. Question number 13 is, what is the most beautiful book you bought this year? And I'm not sure. I was kind of looking through my books, and as I've said, a lot of them are not out right now, so that's probably why I'm having a hard time. But I don't know. I mean, I like to think a lot of the historical romance covers, while slightly cringeworthy at times, I think sometimes they can be gorgeous as well. And I was going to say the Puffin and Bloom classics that I have, which are over there, but I think I got those for Christmas. I'm like 99% sure, so technically that was last year. So I don't know, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it a little bit more. And question number 14 is a book that you need to buy by the end of the year. For this question, I wasn't really sure. I mean, obviously I buy quite a few books, but I don't necessarily, there's not like a whole list of ones I'm like dying to get, but one thing I am trying to do this year is kind of finish buying the series either I've read and loved like on my Kindle and I want to own, or finish up buying series that I own like some of the books but not all of them. So one is like the Sarah Morgan series I just talked about. I only own the first one, and I really want to buy at least the next couple in that series. I finally finished buying the Bridgerton, so that's good, but like there's a few series like that. Like there's a couple missing Lisa Kleypas books I kind of want to buy that I've already read. But yeah, there are a few new releases I hope to pick up, but I'm sure I'll get to them eventually. Alright guys, so that is the mid-year book freakout tag. I love this tag. I think it's so much fun. I'm not going to tag anyone because so many people have already done it, but if you would like to do it or update yours, I highly encourage you to do it. Let me know what some of your favorite books that you've read this year are, and comment down below and tell me if you've read any of these and if you love them or if you hated them. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.